The subject line read, "Petition for Dissolution of Marriage." It came in at 2:08 a.m. I was halfway through my watch in Iraq. I didn't flinch. I just closed the laptop. My name is Clay Mercer. I'm 45, been running signals for the Army for 17 years. Right now, I'm 6 months into a deployment that was supposed to bring me home to suburban Georgia. The desert wind kicks sand against our compound walls. Same sound every night. I'd gotten used to it. Back home, Diane was probably asleep. Emily too. My 16-year-old daughter had school in the morning. Honor roll student, varsity track, the kind of kid who still said yes sir when I called. At least she used to. Our last 3 video calls were short, 5 minutes, maybe less. Diane was always rushing somewhere. Book club, yoga class, parent meetings at Emily's school. She'd hold the phone at arm's length, like she was trying to keep distance even through the screen. Emily barely spoke during those calls, just waved from the kitchen, backpack already on her shoulder. I noticed things. You learn to notice things in signals work. Small details that don't fit the pattern. Diane stopped wearing her wedding ring 2 months ago. Said it caught on her yoga mat. Mrs. Patterson next door sent me an email 3 weeks back. There's a red pickup that parks in your driveway at night. Thought you should know. She attached a photo. Timestamp 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I logged it. Said nothing. Now this. I opened the laptop again. The petition was 12 pages long. Legal language, clean formatting. Words like irreconcilable differences and emotional abandonment. The phrase failure to maintain meaningful communication appeared 4 times. This wasn't Diane's writing. Someone helped her draft this. She wanted full custody of Emily. Spousal support, the house. She'd checked every box that would leave me with nothing but my uniform and a bank account. The document claimed I'd willfully abandoned my family responsibilities through extended military service, that I'd chosen career advancement over family stability. 17 years of service, 3 deployments. I'd missed birthdays, anniversaries, school plays, but I'd never missed a phone call home. Never missed sending Emily's allowance, never stopped being her father, even from 7,000 miles away. Up again, checked my watch, 2:15 a.m. Still 4 hours left on my shift. The thing about signals work is you learn to read between transmissions. What people don't say matters more than what they do. Diane's petition talked about abandonment, but it didn't mention the red pickup truck. Didn't mention why she suddenly needed yoga classes 3 towns over. Didn't mention Rick. Before I deployed, I'd signed a limited power of attorney, standard procedure, just in case something happened to me. It covered financial decisions, medical emergencies, basic stuff to keep things running while I was gone. What Diane didn't know was that I still had access to the property deed. I'd pulled up the county records website. 20 minutes of clicking through digital forms. By 2:45 a.m., the house was officially in her name. Clean transfer. No liens, no complications. She wanted to be the sole decision maker. She could carry the weight that came with it. I didn't send her a reply email, didn't call, didn't text. That was her move. Now it was my turn. The next morning, I sent a single message to Dan Whitaker. He'd been JAG before going private, handled family law for military personnel. Good man, quiet professional. Need to talk, urgent. Dan called within an hour. I explained the situation in 5 minutes. Claim facts, no emotion. Clay, he said, this petition is aggressive. Someone coached her through this. I know. What do you want to do? I watched the sun come up over the Iraqi desert. Same sun that was setting back home in Georgia, where my wife was probably cooking dinner for another man, where my daughter was doing homework at a kitchen table I'd built with my own hands. I want to know who's helping her, I said. And I want them to understand what happens when you try to erase a soldier. The line went quiet for a moment. I'll start making calls, Dan said. That's when I knew the real mission had begun. Dan called back 2 days later. His voice carried that careful tone lawyers use when they're about to deliver bad news. "Clay, we need to talk about your finances." I was in the communications tent, surrounded by humming equipment and the constant chatter of radio traffic. Private space was hard to find in a forward operating base, but this conversation couldn't wait. "What did you find?" "Your joint savings account. Diane emptied it 2 weeks before filing. $37,000. The number hit me like incoming fire. That money was Emily's college fund, 4 years of careful saving, overtime pay, deployment bonuses. Every dollar earned with my daughter's future in mind. "There's more," Dan continued. "She opened a new checking account. Emily's name is on it." My hands tightened around the phone. College fund. That's what it looks like, on paper, but the spending pattern doesn't match. Dan read through the charges. Spa treatments, hotel stays, a yoga studio called Mindful Balance in Peachtree City, 3 towns over from our house, premium membership, personal training sessions, weekend retreats. All charged to an account with my daughter's name on it. "Emily's 17, I said. "She doesn't do yoga." "No, but someone's using her identity to fund a very expensive lifestyle." The pieces started clicking together. Diane's sudden interest in wellness, the new clothes I'd noticed during our video calls, the way she'd always seemed to be somewhere else, even when she was sitting in our kitchen. What else? The divorce petition references a father figure who's been helping Emily through your absence, someone unnamed who's provided stability and emotional support. Rick Morrison had to be. Emily's track coach, guidance counselor, the guy who'd been texting me updates about her meets, always professional, always helpful, always ready to step in when Dad couldn't be there. Too ready. "Clay, there's something else." Emily signed an affidavit supporting the custody petition. Those words cut deeper than the financial betrayal. My daughter had signed legal documents against me, put her name on paper saying I'd failed as a father. "What does it say?" "Emotional neglect, failure to maintain regular contact. The document claims you haven't called home in 3 months. I pulled up my call log. 23 attempts in the last month alone. Most went to connected, lasted less than 5 minutes. Dan, I've got phone records." "I know, but right now her signature is on a legal document. That carries weight." The next morning, my phone rang at 5:30 hours. Diane's mother. Janice had always been good to me. Even when Diane and I hit rough patches, she'd been the one to tell me about Emily's first period, her first heartbreak, all the moments I'd missed while wearing the uniform. "Clay, honey, I need to talk to you." Her voice was shaking. What's wrong, Janice?" "It's about Emily, about what she signed." I stepped outside the tent. The desert air was cool, almost peaceful. Back home, Georgia would be waking up to another humid summer morning. "She made Emily say you hadn't called in months," Janice whispered. "I know that's not true. I've watched that girl wait by the phone every Tuesday and Friday, hoping you'd call." "She signed the papers, Janice, because her mother told her you'd given up on them, that you'd found someone else overseas. That soldiers' wives always get replaced." The manipulation was surgical. Diane hadn't just stolen my money or my marriage. She'd stolen my daughter's trust, one lie at a time. "Emily cried when she signed those papers," Janice continued. "Cried and asked if you'd ever come home. Diane told her that depended on whether you wanted to be a real father." Something cold settled in my chest. This wasn't about divorce anymore. It wasn't the affair. It was the erasure. She wasn't leaving me. She was replacing me. Legally, emotionally, permanently. "Janice, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Document everything. Every conversation, every lie, every time Emily asks about me." I already started. That evening I called Dan with new instructions. "I want to invoke SCARA protections. The Service Remembers Civil Relief Act, legal shield for deployed military. It would freeze all family court proceedings until I returned stateside." "That'll buy us time," Dan said. "But Clay, she's going to push back hard. This stops her momentum." "Good. I want her to sweat." "What else?" I thought about the house, the deed transfer I'd completed 3 nights ago. Diane was now the official owner of our suburban Georgia home. She probably hadn't even noticed the paperwork yet. The HOA notifications, redirect them to Diana's address. Why? Because she's the homeowner now. She can handle the responsibilities that come with it. There was a pause on Dan's line. Clay, what aren't you telling me? I want a full financial audit. Every account, every transaction, every dollar that's been moved in the last 6 months. That's expensive. Do it. And the HOA thing? She wanted the title. She can carry the weight that comes with it. I hung up and walked back to my quarters. My bunkmate was already asleep, snoring softly. The air conditioning unit hummed like a mechanical lullaby. I pulled out my laptop and opened Emily's social media accounts. She'd posted a photo from last week's track meet. First place in the 400-meter dash. The caption read, "Wish Dad could see this." 23 likes. Rick Morrison was the first to comment. "He's proud of you, kiddo. Some of us are here to see it." Some of us. I scrolled through more posts. Graduation shopping with mom, dinner at the steakhouse downtown, pool party at a friend's house. Normal teenage life except for the adult male who appeared in the background of several photos. Always helpful, always present, always ready to fill the space where a father should be. I closed the laptop and lay back on my narrow bunk. Tomorrow I'd start making calls, background checks, financial traces, legal maneuvers that would make Diane's divorce petition look like amateur hour. She'd tried to erase me while I was 7,000 miles away. Now she was about to learn what happens when you corner a soldier who's had 17 years to master the art of strategic planning. The mission parameters had changed. This wasn't about saving a marriage anymore. This was about saving my daughter. The HOA notice arrived on a Tuesday. Certified mail, signature required. Diane had to walk to the mailbox to sign for it. $3,600 in unpaid dues, plus legal fees. The letter was addressed to current property owner at our address. Her address now. Dan called me that evening with an update. She's panicking. Called the HOA office twice today. Apparently, she had no idea the fees were behind. I was cleaning my rifle in the armory tent. Routine maintenance, muscle memory, the kind of task that lets your mind work while your hands stay busy. What did she tell them? That her husband always handled the bills, that there must be some mistake. I pulled the bolt carrier group free, inspected each component, everything in perfect order, just like it should be. That was the problem, I said. She thought I was still doing everything. For 3 weeks I'd been building files. Digital folders organized by date, category, evidence type, military precision applied to civilian betrayal, Emily's identity theft, 17 separate transactions over 4 months. Spa packages, hotel reservations, premium memberships, all charged to an account bearing my daughter's name and social security number. Financial timeline. Every dollar Diane had moved, withdrawn, or hidden before filing for divorce. Dan's team had traced it all. Bank transfers, cash advances, even the premium gas she'd been buying for that red pickup truck. Hotel metadata, check-in times, duration of stays, credit card authorizations. A pattern of weekend getaways that coincided perfectly with my scheduled duty rotations. She'd been planning this for months. My phone buzzed. Emily, calling past her usual bedtime. "Dad?" Her voice was smaller than usual, uncertain. "Hey, sweetheart, you okay?" "Mom says you're not sending money anymore, that we might have to move." I set down my cleaning rod. This was the conversation I'd been dreading. "Is it true you stopped helping us?" The question hit like a sniper's bullet. Clean, precise, devastating. "I never stopped watching." Silence on the line. Then quietly, "What does that mean?" "It means I know about the yoga studio, the hotel visits, the account with your name on it." "I don't understand." "You will. Soon." After I hung up, I stared at my phone for a long time. My daughter was caught in the middle of this war, and she didn't even know she was a casualty. The next morning brought bad news from Dan. Diane filed an emergency motion. She's claiming mental instability, alleging you're making threatening communications. Based on what? Your conversation with Emily. She recorded it. Course she did. Every move calculated, every interaction weaponized. What's our counter? I've got Janice's sworn affidavit, documentation of the lies Diane told Emily, phone records proving your regular contact attempts. Dan paused, and I heard papers rustling on his end. There's something else. I found an old complaint filed against Rick Morrison. 3 years ago, parent accused him of inappropriate boundary issues with a female student. The pieces clicked together. This wasn't Rick's first rodeo. What happened to the complaint? Buried. School administration handled it internally, moved the coach to a different program, transferred the student to another district. Clean and quiet. The school covered it once, I said. This time, they couldn't. I spent the next hour on the phone with the school district's HR department, asked questions about background checks, reporting procedures, current investigations, professional inquiries from a concerned parent stationed overseas. By afternoon, Rick Morrison was placed on administrative leave pending review. The rumor mill in small-town Georgia moves fast. By evening, half the parents at Emily's school were asking questions about their daughter's interactions with Coach Morrison. Diane called me that night. First time she'd used my number since the divorce filing. What did you do? I protected my daughter. Rick is a good man. He's been helping Emily. Rick is a predator, and you handed him my child. The line went dead. 2 days later, Dan called with the biggest revelation yet. Clay, we found something. Mortgage paperwork from last year. Diane tried to take a second mortgage on the house 3 months before you deployed. I was in the chow tent, picking at reconstituted eggs and instant coffee. The news killed what little appetite I had. How much? $80,000. Enough to fund her new lifestyle for a year or more. What stopped her? The lender required both signatures. She couldn't forge yours from overseas. The timeline was becoming clear. Diane hadn't waited for our marriage to die naturally. She'd been counting down the days to bury it. She needed me gone, I said. Looks that way. The deployment gave her the perfect cover story. Abandoned military wife, struggling to raise a teenager alone, while stealing from our daughter's college fund, and planning to mortgage the house you've been paying for 17 years. I pushed the tray away. The eggs had gone cold anyway. Dan, I want you to file a counter motion. Fraud charges for the identity theft. Request immediate forensic accounting of all marital assets. That's going nuclear. She went nuclear first. I'm just returning fire. The next week brought a cascade of consequences. The school board opened a formal investigation into Rick Morrison's conduct. 3 more parents came forward with concerns about inappropriate communications with their daughters. Emily called me crying. Everyone's talking about Coach Morrison. They're saying horrible things. What do you think? I don't know anymore. He was always nice to me. But now, some of the things he said, about you being gone, about mom needing support, it felt weird, but I thought he was just being helpful. My daughter was learning the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes the people who claim to care about you are the ones who hurt you most. Emily, I need you to know something. Whatever happens with your mother and me, you're the most important thing in my life. That's never going to change. Are you coming home? Soon. Promise? I promise. After we hung up, I walked outside to watch the sunset over the Iraqi desert. The same sun that was rising over Georgia, where my daughter was getting ready for school, where my wife was probably explaining to her lawyer why her perfect plan was falling apart. She'd tried to erase me while I was halfway around the world. Now she was about to learn that 17 years in the Army teaches you more than just how to follow orders. It teaches you how to win wars. The foreclosure notice was taped to the front door like a scarlet letter. Bright yellow paper, impossible to miss. Legal notice of intent to seize property for unpaid homeowner association dues and accumulated penalties. Total amount owed, $8,347.00. Dan called me with the update while I was reviewing intelligence reports in the command tent. She found it this morning. Mrs. Patterson says Diane stood on the front porch for 10 minutes, just staring at it. What did she do? Called her lawyer, then Rick. Neither one picked up. The HOA had moved fast once they realized the property owner had changed. New deed, new responsibility. No more patient payment plans or extensions based on military deployment status. Diane was learning the weight of ownership. Clay, there's more. Emily overheard her mother on the phone last night. I set down the intelligence folder. What kind of conversation? Screaming match with someone. Probably Rick. Emily heard her say, I didn't ask him to go to war. Apparently, she was blaming everyone except herself. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from Emily. Short message, but it changed everything. Can I stay with you this summer? 4 months of careful planning had led to this moment. My daughter was choosing sides. I called her immediately. You sure about this? I heard Mom on the phone. She said terrible things about you, about the army, about why you're gone. Her voice was steady now. No more confusion, no more divided loyalty. She said you abandoned us. But you didn't, did you? No, I never did. I want to come live with you when you get back. The public collapse happened faster than I'd expected. Small towns thrive on gossip, and Diane had given them plenty to work with. Mrs. Patterson started it, told her bridge club about the foreclosure notice, the red pickup truck that no longer appeared in our driveway, the way Diane had gone from friendly neighbor to hostile stranger in just a few weeks. The school parents picked up the story next. Rick Morrison's administrative leave had become the hot topic at every PTA meeting and soccer practice. Parents were asking questions about supervision policies, background checks, appropriate boundaries between coaches and students. Emily's friend Madison came home from school with news that spread through the parent network like wildfire. Madison's mom called Coach Morrison creepy, Emily told me during our nightly call. Said she never liked how he talked to the girls. The reputation shift was complete. Rick went from helpful community figure to suspicious outsider in less than 2 weeks. Parents who'd once praised his dedication to the students now questioned every interaction their daughters had with him. Diane tried to maintain her social connections, but the financial scandal made that impossible. Using Emily's identity for personal expenses was the kind of betrayal that suburban mothers couldn't forgive. Even Janice stopped defending her daughter. I can't make excuses anymore, she told me during a quiet phone call. What she did to Emily, using her name like that, it's unforgivable. The legal system moved with surprising efficiency once Dan presented our evidence. Family court judges don't appreciate being lied to, especially when children are involved. The alimony request was dismissed outright. The judge called Diane's financial behavior fraudulent and manipulative. Her petition for full custody collapsed when Emily's recorded statement contradicted the sworn affidavit Diane had coached her to sign. The court finds the evidence of financial misconduct conclusive, the judge wrote in his ruling. The respondent's misuse of the minor child's identity for personal financial gain demonstrates a fundamental breach of parental responsibility. Diane was cited for identity theft in order to make full restitution to Emily's legitimate college fund. Rick Morrison resigned from the school district the day before his formal hearing was scheduled. No investigation, no official findings, just a quiet exit and a sealed personnel file. The narrative had flipped completely. 3 weeks before my scheduled return, Emily's school invited me to speak at their annual Veterans Assembly. Video call from Iraq to a high school auditorium in suburban Georgia accepted. The connection was grainy, but I could see the packed auditorium, hundreds of students, parents, faculty members. Emily sat in the front row, wearing her varsity track jacket. Principal Watson introduced me with standard military honors. Years of service, deployment record, dedicated father and community member. Then Emily stood up to speak. No prepared remarks, no dramatic presentation, just my 17-year-old daughter walking to the podium with quiet confidence. My dad's always been here, she said, looking directly into the camera, even when you didn't see him. She talked about the phone calls I'd made every Tuesday and Friday for 6 months, the care packages that arrived exactly on schedule, the way I'd helped her with algebra homework over video chat despite the 8-hour time difference. Some people said he abandoned us. That's not true. He was protecting our country so we could be safe at home. That's what real fathers do. The applause was immediate and sustained. I watched through the pixelated connection as an entire auditorium of people stood up for a soldier they'd never met, but had learned to respect through his daughter's words. Diane wasn't there. Neither was Rick. After the assembly, Emily called me privately. Did you see it? The speech? Every word. Good. I wanted everyone to know the truth. I'm proud of you. For everything. For being strong when things got complicated. When are you coming home? 2 weeks. Will you pick me up from school? Like you used to? First thing I do. That night, I walked outside the forward operating base and looked up at the stars. Same constellations that Emily could see from Georgia. Same moon that would light my path home in 14 days. The mission was almost complete. Not the Army mission. That was just paperwork now. The real mission. Protecting my daughter from the people who tried to steal her father while he was serving his country. Diane had wanted to erase me from Emily's life. Instead, she'd erased herself. I came home on a Thursday. Emily was waiting at the school pickup line, same spot I'd used for 3 years before deployment. She climbed into my rental car without fanfare, just buckled her seatbelt and said, "Let's go home." But we didn't go to the old house. I'd rented a quiet duplex on the other side of town. 2 bedrooms, small yard, no homeowner association. No shared accounts, no complicated histories. Just clean space for a father and daughter to rebuild what others had tried to destroy. Emily approved immediately. "It feels peaceful," she said, testing the couch in our new living room. The legal aftermath took 3 more months to resolve. Diane kept the house, but lost everything else. The identity theft charges resulted in probation and court-ordered restitution. Rick Morrison moved to another state, another school district, another chance to start over. Emily chose to live with me full-time. The court made it official without contest. On quiet evenings, we'd sit on the back porch and talk about normal things. Her college applications, summer job prospects, whether she wanted to keep running track. Conversations that felt natural again, without the weight of betrayal pressing down on every word. 3 months after settling into the duplex, I decided it was time. Emily had gone to bed early, tired from track practice and SAT prep. The house was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning and the distant sound of traffic on the main road. I walked to my bedroom closet and pulled out a manila folder I'd carried home from Iraq. Military issued, standard size, labeled in my own handwriting. Custody. Phase 1. Every document I'd compiled during deployment. Financial records, phone logs, legal correspondence, evidence of a war I'd fought from 7,000 miles away. Pages of strategy and calculation, proof of betrayal and systematic revenge. I carried the folder to the backyard and lit the fire pit. Page by page, I fed the documentation to the flames. Bank statements curled and blackened, email printouts dissolved into ash, legal briefs turned to smoke and drifted away on the night breeze. Not to forget, but because the mission was over. The folder held 47 pages of evidence. Each one represented a day of planning, a moment of strategic thinking, a step in the campaign to protect my daughter from people who'd tried to steal her father. I burned them all except one. The last page was Emily's original affidavit, the document Diane had coached her to sign, claiming I'd abandoned my family responsibilities. False testimony, written in my daughter's handwriting, signed under duress and manipulation. I held it up to the firelight and read her signature one more time. Then I released it into the wind. The paper caught the breeze and lifted into the darkness, spinning and tumbling until it disappeared against the night sky. 17 years of marriage, 6 months of betrayal, 4 months of quiet revenge. All of it carried away by Georgia wind. I stood there for a long time after the fire died down. No uniform, no rank insignia, no mission parameters. Just a father in his backyard, watching ash settle on summer grass. Inside the house, Emily slept peacefully in her new bedroom, safe protected home. The war was over.